here to discuss taking responsibility for our own happiness. The truth is, most of us live life like this. If you're kind to me, I feel good about myself. If you're not kind to me, I get upset and I feel unworthy. If things go my way, I feel good, or I just space out and take it for granted. If things don't go my way, well then we have a problem and I'm frustrated and I'm upset. If I catch the subway, cool. If I miss the subway, fuck. Like that. And what that is handing your happiness over to the world, over to your circumstances. The example I often use is it's just like having a remote control with a button for worthiness, unworthiness, anger, satisfaction, goodness, whatever. And then handing it to other people and handing it to the circumstances in our lives and saying, here, you decide, you push the buttons. Having our happiness hitched up to the behavior of others and to the wiles of circumstance, the worldly winds of pleasure, pain, gain, and loss, fame and ill repute, and so on, is a recipe for misery. And we have to wake up to this. We have to wake up to the fact that happiness and well-being and satisfaction, a lot of people have a hard time with the word happiness because it's been so misconstrued and misunderstood in our society. So whatever your correlate is for that, fulfillment, self-actualization, these things can only come from inside of us. We will only ever experience them in a true, meaningful, lasting way inside ourselves. Why? Because the world is defective, frankly. It's never once been satisfying and fulfilling in a permanent way for anyone ever, because the only constant is change. And again, even when we get our ducks to all line up in a neat row, it's only a matter of time before the shit hits the fan again, before somebody gets sick, before somebody dies, before some disaster, foreseen or unforeseeable, comes our way. It is just the nature of things and how things are meant to be in this world that in Eastern traditions is known as samsara. This cyclical, constantly changing material situation we find ourselves ensconced within. That there are defects to samsara in that it will never satisfy, it will never fulfill. It doesn't mean don't connect with others. It doesn't mean don't create good conditions in your life. That is absolutely necessary also for an inner happiness to arise, for things to be relatively good in our external situation, but don't count on it, is the message here. Do not count on it, because that is a recipe for anguish. And so we can only really count on it coming from one place, and that is the cultivation of a deep inner harmony, a deep sense of inner belonging, a deep sense of well-being on the inside that comes from ourselves, that we engender and uncover within ourselves. Notice I'm not really using the word cultivate so much. There is a level of cultivation in terms of learning technique and skill and processes and absorbing ideas and what have you that lead us to a place where we can uncover what is natural to us. And what is natural to us is everything that I'm talking about here, moving towards self-actualization, satisfaction, fulfillment, happiness, joy, connectivity, etc. All of the things we want is actually our deeper nature, our own awareness, the pure state of awareness itself has these things for us. And our work here is to cultivate enough so that we can uncover. Some people talk about cultivating love, cultivating joy. No, you cultivate a practice that allows you to uncover that which is already in you in the basement layer of your being, at the very bottom of it all. So, here's an example that this is an insight that often eludes us. And it took me so long to see this myself. That loneliness and wanting to connect with another person are two different things. Loneliness and desiring a relationship, two different things. Not the same thing, not at all. And in fact, if we start from a place of loneliness and seek out relationships from there, surefire way to end up miserable. If we have a loneliness problem and we seek somebody else to redeem us in some way, to fix our loneliness problem, then we are going to be looking for the wrong things, we will be excited by the wrong things, and we will in fact be living in a fantasy about the other person, thinking that, again, something outside of us is going to create this meaningful shift in our lives in a lasting way. And that person is bound to disappoint us, frustrate us, and annoy us. Why? Because all human beings are disappointing, frustrating, and annoying. Even you, even me, all of us, period. And so if we go about thinking that another being is going to solve our loneliness problem, as intuitive as that might be, then we are bound to be disappointed, and we are bound to feel even lonelier, and now in the presence of somebody else that frankly we have used. That frankly we have used them to compensate for a reality extant within us that we refuse to abide with, that we refuse to relate to, that we try to escape in some way. And this is how so many people go about looking for relationships and trying to connect with others. And the only answer here is that we have to be with our loneliness ourselves. We have to resolve with our loneliness ourselves. We need to love ourselves. We need to be willing to be lonely first, and then step into a process wherein we can send love to those lonely parts of us, where we can have a sense of I'm here with those lonely parts, where we can be totally okay with solitude and being with ourselves and relating within ourselves. And then, paradoxically, the relationships we seek won't come from that sense of lack, won't come from that sense of compensation. They will become cleaner and more satisfying and clearer. And we won't be using other people to address something that is really our problem. So the point is, inner harmony creates outer harmony. Our lives, our circumstances flow out of what is going on inside of us. It cannot possibly be any other way. The events in our lives are often not up to us, but how we relate to and perceive and the habits that we have around the stimuli that come at us, totally up to us and totally comes from the inner work that we've done. No happiness without an inner life.